All right. What is going on, 49er faithful? Thank you for tuning in to the Monday edition of the show. I'm JD, and it's officially training camp week. If you are an NFL fan, at least for the majority of NFL teams, because this week the rest of the teams in the National Football League will be reporting to their respective practice facilities across the country, and that includes the San Francisco 49ers, whose veteran players will be reporting down to Santa Clara on Tuesday. So, I'm jacked to the gills. I'm pumped up. Football's back. We're going to be having actual football conversation in a matter of hours. 48 hours from now will be the first day of the 49ers being on the practice field as a team, preparing for the 2025 NFL season during training camp. And I can't wait. I'm pumped up for all of it. I can't wait for all the practice reports, just being on social media when practice is going on, getting the constant updates from all the beat writers and the fans that are in attendance. Like, I love every bit of training camp, and I'm so hyped that it's here. I can't believe it's finally here, and I wanted to go live today here on Keeping the Faith and kind of give you my official 2025 49ers training camp preview, where we will be going through each position group. Not every single player, but I will be highlighting themes from each position group as we head into training camp, who to keep an eye on, what are the key storylines, all the good stuff as it pertains to your San Francisco 49ers as they head into training camp. But before we do all that, I want to say what's up to all of my fellow 49er fans in the house tonight for the show. So if you're watching and you are participating in the live chat, or what I like to call the show within the show, drop your ones. Let me see who's here. Let me say what's up to all of my fellow 49er faithful, because it just feels so good to be a 49er fan right now. Football is back, baby, and it's the best time of the year. Let's go. Let me see who's here. Let me see who we have in the building. We have Big Brick 84 saying, let's go. I like the energy. David Corona, what up, homie? What up, David? Thank you for tuning in, my friend. Tommy Huxley saying bird poop pitching tonight, shaking my head. I'm assuming you're referring to baseball. That's not what this channel's about. I'm not even a baseball fan, so sorry, but that's not what we're talking today, my friend. David Corona says, can't wait for the season. Can't wait for the season to start. Can't wait for the season to start. Let's go 49ers. I like it. David also dropping his ones. That's what I'm talking about. Let's go. So all the conjecture, all the talk, all the rumors, all the nonsense, all the perceived drama goes out the window with football starting this week, because everything will be right in front of you. The media will be on hand giving you their reports. They'll be talking to the players and coaches. We will get answers to several key questions that we have surrounding this 49ers football team in just a matter of days. One of the biggest questions that that 49ers fans have is, what is the status of your wide receiver core? And we will get to that as a whole momentarily, but I wanted to bring up some news of the day regarding the 49ers and how they are handling their wide receiver position, because of course we all know about the status of Juwan Jennings. He wants a new contract or a trade. We don't know necessarily if he will be holding in or holding out. Reports are more than likely he will be holding in, a la Brandon Aiyuk of last year, the same way. But that leaves you one fewer wide receiver on the practice field. And not just that, we talked about the news last Friday about Ricky Pearsall being on the PUP list to begin camp now. As I mentioned on Friday, he can be taken off the PUP list at any time. For all intents and purposes, Ricky Pearsall can be out there on Wednesday for the very first practice, and it wouldn't affect anything. Like, he can be back on the field on Wednesday, taken off PUP right before practice, and perhaps that is the game plan. But it was a procedural thing. Some people would like to lead you to believe that it was a procedural thing, because given the fact that Ricky Pearsall and all the other 49ers players that were dealing with injuries during the OTAs and mandatory minicamp period are automatically placed on the pup entering training camp. However, I have one little wrench that I want to throw in that logic. Jair Brown was dealing with an injury during the offseason program, during the OTAs and mandatory minicamp. But Jair Brown is not on pup heading into camp. Why is that? So if it's just a procedural thing, if it's just standard operating procedure, right? Normal course of business, then why isn't Jair Brown on that list? Why was he cleared to go? Alfred Collins, same thing. He signed his contract, and miraculously that lower leg injuries disappeared. And but Jair Brown is cleared. He's healthy. He's coming back from offseason ankle surgery. He's ready to go by reports. So why wasn't he on pup list? If it's standard operating procedure, when you have Ricky Pearsall still on the pup list. So that those are some of the biggest questions that 49ers fans have, I think, entering training camp is what is the status of Ricky Pearsall's injury and what's going on with Jauan Jennings and his contract. We will get to that momentarily, but I say all that to say the 49ers made some news today regarding their approach to the wide receiver position as the team heads into training camp. So let me pull that up to show you guys exactly what I'm referring to. And this comes courtesy of Josh Dubow of the Associated Press. He put out a tweet today that the 49ers brought in 6 wide receivers for tryouts per the league transactions wire, including Quintez Cephas, Grant Dubose, Ramel Keaton, Stanley Morgan, Brandon Powell, and Equanimous St. Brown. They also brought in quarterback Spencer Petrus, who was brought in to throw for these guys. But yeah, so if everything's all well and good, if it was all just standard operating procedure, right? Then why are they trying out a bunch of wide receivers who presumably will be nothing more than camp bodies? You know, if Ricky Pearsall is going to be out there on Wednesday, as some people would lead you to believe, then why are they trying out a bunch of camp bodies? You know, you're going to be without Jauan Jennings, assuming his contract situation is not finalized before the start of the first practice on Wednesday. And Ricky Pearsall is dealing with an injury by all reports. So the Niners bring in a bunch of wide receiver tryouts who presumably will be camp bodies. And that I just found that a little interesting. I'm not sure what you guys think, but I think it's something. I think it's interesting. I think that more than likely when this team heads into practice on Wednesday, they will be without Jauan Jennings. They will be without Ricky Pearsall. And of course, they will be without Brandon Aiyuk. That goes without saying as he continues his rehab from his ACL and MCL injuries. So that leaves Brock Purdy and this 49ers offense without their top 3 wide receivers. You will have Demarcus Robinson out there who will be practicing. He has not been formally suspended yet. And even if he were to be suspended prior to Wednesday's opening practice, he will be on the practice field. He will be allowed to practice with the team. He will be allowed to play during the preseason. You also have Jordan Watkins, Jacob Cowing. And then after that, it's kind of a hodgepodge of reserves. Isaiah Hodgins, Isaiah Nair, the undrafted free agent, Tariq Owens, Junior Bergen, the rookie 7th round returner, would probably get some snaps at wide receiver during camp. So the Niners trying out a bunch of wide receivers 2 days before camp is a little concerning to me in a sense that when they open up practice on Wednesday, they're probably going to be without Jauan Jennings and Ricky Pearsall. However, trying out a bunch of wide receivers who presumably will be nothing more than camp bodies for a few days until that situation plays itself out isn't necessarily the worst thing in the world. It kind of tells me that maybe they expect to get the deal with Jauan Jennings done sooner rather than later. And Ricky Pearsall, they expect him to probably be back on the field sooner rather than later as well. Because if they really thought they were going to be without those guys for an extended period of time, I would imagine they would go after more established, proven wide receivers who could be here a little more long term. Maybe the Gabe Davises of the world, the Amari Coopers of the world, the Keenan Allens of the world, those kinds of guys. So, given the fact that they're going after a bunch of tryout level wide receivers, tells me maybe we shouldn't panic too much. Maybe, it might look a little bad, look a little shaky to start off camp, but I think when it's all said and done, I think they'll get Juwan Jennings and Ricky Pearsall out on the practice field, hopefully sooner than later. At least that's how it appears to me. So let me see who else has been trickling on in here to the show as we get going here today on this beautiful Monday of training camp week. Dave McPherson dropping his ones. He says, "Let's go Niners." That's what I'm talking about. Let's see. Big Brick says, in my opinion, releasing George Odom was a move to keep one extra wide receiver on the 53-man roster, as someone can be on special teams and called up to wide receiver if when needed. Potentially. That's potentially a possibility. We will get to all that later in the show. Big Brick says, Pearsall will be moved from PUP before the end of camp. He will be removed from PUP before the end of camp, but what about the month before the end of camp? They need Ricky Pearsall on the field as soon as possible to be working with his quarterback and preparing for the NFL season. Like, Ricky Pearsall went all last year without an offseason virtually. He did not participate in training camp. We can't have Ricky Pearsall going into a season for the second year in a row without participating in training camp. So, he'll be removed from PUP before the start of the regular season, obviously, as long as, everything checks out with that hamstring. But they need him on the field a lot sooner than that. I mean, come on. They need him on the field as soon as they absolutely can. 49er Faithful Forever says, what's up, JD? What's up, my man? Thank you for tuning into the program. Let's see who else we got. If I didn't miss anybody. David Coper says, we need Pearsall to stay healthy this season. That goes without saying. David Corona says, you don't think we can make a big trade for a wide receiver? I'm not throwing it out, obviously. I think they could potentially make a move. I think they want to get a good look at who they have and assess their wide receiver room before they do anything like that, which is also why I think they're going the tryout route with the street free agents rather than making a big move, because I think they want to ultimately just kind of take a step back and assess the entire situation before they hit the panic button and invest draft capital or free agent money in a proven wide receiver. So we'll see. I see my guy Papa J showing love with the ones in the chat. What up, Papa J? He says, I'm about to trickle, but not here. I'll be back from the big boys room. All right. I gotcha. So, I just wanted to share that news with you guys that the Niners tried out a bunch of street free agents today. Don't read too much into it. I think those guys are going to be nothing but camp bodies if any of them are signed. And at the end of the day, I think going that route as opposed to signing an Amari Cooper, a Keenan Allen, a Gabe Davis to start camp is an encouraging sign of all things. I think that, the Niners figure that they may be without Juwan Jennings, Ricky Pearsall, at the early stage of camp, but I think they intend on getting those guys into camp and on the practice field sooner than later, and that's what bringing in those tryout wide receivers kind of tells me. So we'll see. But today here on the program is the official 49ers 2025 training camp preview. And what I'm going to do is go through each position group, and I'll try to do it as succinctly and quickly as I can while giving you guys all the proper information. I want to go through each position group where, quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends, offensive line. You get the idea. I want to go through each position group and give my overarching theme of what's going on and maybe some thoughts on particular players in those groups, what I want to see from certain players, what I'm looking forward to seeing during camp from certain players as we go through this roster, offense, defense, special teams, and just give you my overall thoughts on the 49ers roster heading into training camp, because in 48 hours or less than 48 hours from now, actually, they're going to be on the practice field and fans will be in attendance down there in Santa Clara, and football will be happening. No more talk, no more drama, no more, speculation. Football will be played in short order, and I can't wait. So let's get on into it. And I think I would be doing all of you a disservice if I did not start with the most premium position on a football team, and that is with the quarterbacks. And we're going to start on the offensive side of the ball, particularly in the quarterback room. We all know it's Brock Purdy. We know that it's Brock Purdy's job. We know that Brock Purdy signed a massive extension this offseason. And with that contract extension comes new expectations, bigger responsibilities, more on his shoulders. And what I want to see from Brock Purdy during this training camp, and keep in mind, I don't give a damn about training camp passing stats. So you're going to see those videos every day from certain people giving you Brock Purdy's numbers, telling you how many interceptions he threw, doing all that stuff. We all know that means nothing. And, doing it in 2025, I think is a little bit of overkill. But with Brock Purdy heading into this 2025 training camp, I want to see the next level of Purdy's leadership over this team, because that contract and that position, it's Brock Purdy's team, and he needs to take charge of it as such. He needs to take hold of it as such. I want to see Brock Purdy become more vocal. I want to see Brock Purdy barking at guys, making sure guys are in the right spots. If they're running the wrong routes or doing the wrong things, I want Purdy to get into these guys. I want him to take ownership of this offense. I want him to take the next step as a leader, because his status on this team, his positioning on this team, the amount of money that Purdy is being paid, he has to. It is demanded of your quarterback, who is in the position that Brock Purdy is in, to be a leader, to be the vocal guy, to be the face of your offense and the coach on the field. And I want to see Brock Purdy take that next step. You've heard over the last couple of years, Purdy has taken those steps and been a little bit more, vocal, barking a little bit more at players. I really want Brock Purdy to really get into these guys. If it is warranted, Brock, go out there and let them have it. Tell them what's up. Like, I want that next step in the maturity of Brock Purdy this training camp. That's what I want to see. I'm not worried about all the X's and O's stuff. I'm not worried about Purdy's arm necessarily, although, coming off the injury that he sustained late in the year, I would like to see how they kind of manage his throwing. How many days do they let him throw before they potentially give him a rest day? I am interested in that, but I'm not worried about that, if that makes sense. Overall, my biggest takeaway when it comes to Brock Purdy this training camp has to be, how is he as a leader? Has he taken that next step? Is he taking ownership of this 49ers team the way that he should? Now, behind Brock Purdy, we know QB2 is going to be Mac Jones. Some people will lead you to believe that possibly Tanner Mordecai, the third string quarterback, could supplant Mac Jones as the quarterback too. I'm telling you right now, it doesn't matter what Tanner Mordecai does in practice. It doesn't matter what Mac Jones does in practice. The money that they paid Mac Jones tells me Mac Jones is going to be the 49ers second string quarterback. And it's not just about the money. Kyle Shanahan has had an affinity for Mac Jones going back to that 2021 NFL draft, and everybody knows it. So he's going to be given every single opportunity to seize that backup quarterback job. And not to mention, like I said, the amount of money that they're paying him to come in here as a backup tells me no matter what happens behind Purdy at quarterback, Mac Jones is going to be the QB2. So just be prepared for that. No matter what you read on any given day about how these guys are performing, when it's all said and done, Mac Jones is going to be your quarterback too. End of discussion. Like, I think it's pretty cut and dry. I really do. Let's move ahead to the running back position. And like I said, I'm going to try and get through these. And then once I get through all these position groups on offense, defense, special teams, and I'll try and be quick, I will take your comments. I will take your questions in the chat and all that. So just stick with me. I appreciate everybody for tuning in here. It is training camp week, and this is the Keeping the Faith official 2025 49ers training camp show. So at the running back position, I think we all know it's CMC's gig, right? That's not any surprise to anyone. That's not a shock. But when it comes to Christian McCaffrey, during the offseason program, there was a lot of talk surrounding CMC and whether or not he's lost a step. Have the injuries that he has sustained recently taken its toll. The fact that CMC has had so much wear and tear on his tires the last couple of years with the 49ers specifically, uh, and the fact that he's 29 years old, he's not on the right side of 20, uh, has Christian McCaffrey actually lost a step? Some people would tell you that yes, he has lost a step. Several others would tell you, I thought he looked pretty good. So with Christian McCaffrey during training camp, I just want to know, has he lost a step? How is he looking? Is he practicing every single day? Is he fully healthy? Does he look explosive? Does he look tentative at all at any point? How healthy is Christian McCaffrey really? That's what I want to know with CMC. We all know what happened last year when the Achilles tendonitis flared up. They sat him during training camp, and the 49ers told you to your face, oh, he'll be fine. He'll be out there ready to go week one. And then we didn't find out until an hour before kickoff of the week one game on Monday Night Football against the New York Jets that CMC would be out. And the snowball kind of avalanched from there. So, how healthy is CMC? What kind of CMC can we expect? That's what I'm looking forward to seeing in training camp with RB1. Now, behind Christian McCaffrey, the emergence of Isaac Guerendo as RB2 is definitely at the forefront of my mind because you've heard all offseason about how good Isaac Guerendo looks, how explosive he looks, how big he is, the playmaking ability that he possesses, the home run threat ability that he possesses, and also his ability to catch the football is something that needs to be taken into consideration. How does Isaac Guerendo look coming into year two, especially when those pads come on? Is he going to be able to withstand some more touches this year? Because he has some injury concerns in his own right. And if Kyle Shanahan is doing this thing the right way, he's going to give Christian McCaffrey a breather more than he has in recent years. And that would mean Isaac Guerendo is going to see the field a lot more than he would have in years past, behind McCaffrey. So how does Isaac Guerendo look as the RB2? I think his emergence could be a total X factor for this 49ers offense and an amazing chess piece for Kyle Shanahan as we go into this 2025 season. So my eyes are going to be on Isaac Guerendo going into training camp, the preseason. Behind Isaac Guerendo, though, who is RB3 going to be? Is it going to be the fifth round rookie, Jordan James? Is it going to be undrafted rookie free agent Corey Kiner? Is it going to be the holdover Patrick Taylor Jr.? Izzy Abanaconda, former New York Jets running back, is he going to have something to say about all this? The RB3 spot is up in the air for the most part, I would say. I mean, yes, the favorite is going to be Jordan James, the fifth round rookie, and I'm definitely excited to see how he looks once the pads come on because that's when I think his game is really going to translate and stand out way more than it did during the offseason program. So how does Jordan James look, and how do the other guys look? Can any of them make any noise to make this roster? So we will see there. Before we move on to wide receivers, let me take a look at the live chat and see what you guys are saying. Big Brick 84 says Guerendo is about to have a big year. I'm with you. I think so. I'm on the Guerendo hype train. He also says Jordan James for sure. You would think so, but a lot can happen. So we'll see. Let's see. 49ers throwback says, dude's only 29 years old. I'd say 2 years left. He's referring to Christian McCaffrey. Big Brick says CMC looking stronger than ever. The long offseason did him well. That it may have, but once they start playing football every day, let's see how long he can go without having those Achilles flare up, because that injury isn't something that just goes away. That's something he's going to have to manage and deal with for the rest of his career. So let's hope that he can withstand everything. We'll see, and I think a lot of it's going to come on Kyle Shanahan for spelling Christian McCaffrey. And it's going to actually come a lot on Christian McCaffrey too. He's going to have to stop being so stubborn and come off the field. Do what's best for not only his body, but for this team. We need Christian McCaffrey healthy for the long run. So he's going to need to be, play it a lot more smart than he has in recent years. Let's see what else. If we missed anything here in the chat. I see Lavelle tuning in. What's up, Lavelle? Long time no see. Filthy Casual in the chat. Tony Rubalcaba checking in. What up, Tony? Thank you for tuning in, my man. Good to see you. Good to see you. I just wanted to make sure I didn't miss anybody. All right. Let's move ahead to the wide receivers because this, I think, is going to be the most widely watched, widely scrutinized position group on the entire roster, at least heading into training camp. Because, like I mentioned at the top of the show, like we've talked about here on the channel at nauseum, Juwan Jennings wants a new contract or wants a trade. We're less than 48 hours away from the first practice, and there is no resolution to that situation. So when Kyle Shanahan speaks to the media on Tuesday, I'm sure the first question out of the mouths of the media is, what's going on with Juwan Jennings? You know that's going to be the first question because it's really the most pressing concern for everyone that is around this team heading into training camp. What's up with Juwan? Is he going to be holding in, standing on the sidelines? Are you going to be welcoming that distraction onto your practice field as this team is trying to prepare for a regular season? What's up with Juwan? That's priority number one when we're talking about the wide receiver position. Now, of course, the Ricky Pearsall situation, like I mentioned at the top of the show, I find it funny that Ricky Pearsall is on PUP list, and some people are telling you it's not a big deal. It's completely a procedural thing that players who did not finish the offseason program and were dealing with injuries are automatically placed on PUP. And while that may be the case, I have to ask the question, why was Jair Brown not on that list then? Because Jair Brown also was dealing with an injury during the offseason program and did not participate. So you're kind of talking out of two sides of your mouth here. So what's actually going on? What is the status of Ricky Pearsall? How severe is that hamstring injury? Why did you look the media in the face, Kyle Shanahan, and tell them, oh, Ricky's going to be fine. Going to be fine for camp. Hopefully he is fine for camp. Hopefully he's out there on Wednesday. I want to see it. But all signs are pointing to Ricky Pearsall at least missing the early portion of training camp from everything that you're seeing, especially given the fact that they had 6 tryout wide receivers in the building today. So we will see how all that plays out. What is the status of Demarcus Robinson? When are we going to find out the resolution to his pending suspension? Is he going to be suspended to start the year, or is it going to come later? Like, what's going on with Demarcus Robinson? There needs to be clarification on that from the NFL, and the fact that has not come down yet is kind of a joke. So I want to see what's going on with Demarcus Robinson. Eager to find out how all of that is going to shake out. Given Demarcus Robinson's uncertainty to begin the season, my next biggest question is who is going to fill in at wide receiver 3 week 1, assuming Juwan Jennings and Ricky Pearsall are your number 1 and number 2. The battle between Jacob Cowing and Jordan Watkins is going to be prime time. I've told you guys for weeks now, that is probably my biggest position battle of training camp for me. I want to see how that shakes out because whoever wins that position battle between the rookie Jordan Watkins and the second-year man Jacob Cowing is going to be on the field week 1 a ton. And I'm sure both of them will be on the field week 1 a ton. But who is going to get the edge between Jordan Watkins and Jacob Cowing? Jacob Cowing may be playing for his 49ers career right now because they brought in Jordan Watkins after drafting Jacob Cowing a year ago and not getting much on that investment year 1. How does that battle shake out? I think that is must-see TV if this was televised, and I'm very eager to see how those two perform in training camp. By all reports, both of guys have actually looked very good and very explosive during the offseason program. Let's see if it translates once those pads come on here in a matter of days or weeks. So is Junior Bergen going to be wide receiver 6, the 7th round kick returner, who was brought in to be Brent Boyer, special teams coordinator Brent Boyer's new toy? Is he going to end up having to be wide receiver 6 because he earns a roster spot as the team's kick returner? How does that shake out with Junior Bergen, a 7th rounder, potentially taking up a wide receiver spot essentially just be a kick returner, punt returner? How is that going to shake out? And then do any of the other guys, the unheralded names such as Isaiah Hodgins, Tariq Owens, Isaiah Nair, the undrafted rookie free agent who has turned some heads, can any of those guys make any noise in camp to potentially stick around on this team? Those are also guys who are going to have a lot of eyes on them once training camp kicks off. Moving along to the tight end position, and I'm going to try and get through this a little bit quicker than I am. My apologies, guys. At tight end, the only question for me is, will Kyle Shanahan transition to more 12 personnel? One running back, two tight ends. That has been the talk for some time, that Kyle Shanahan wants to utilize more 12 personnel. They brought in Luke Farrell from the Jacksonville Jaguars to presumably free up George Kittle to run more routes, being flexed out wide and just in line as a tight end as well. Will they run more 12 personnel with both those guys on the field, and will they allow George Kittle to be more of a weapon in the passing game? They've used George Kittle as a sixth offensive lineman since day one. I think it's about time that Kyle Shanahan frees him up a little bit. And I hope that Luke Farrell will allow that to happen. So to me, how often is Kyle Shanahan utilizing 12 personnel during training camp? I'm very curious to see how that potential scheme change or what's the word I'm looking for? That thought process plays out. I want to see if that's what Kyle Shanahan ends up doing, going to more 12 personnel. Like, what does the scheme look like going into 2025? Is it going to be the same old 49ers that we've seen, or does Luke Farrell allow Kyle Shanahan to kind of experiment a little bit? I'm very curious to see how that plays out. Then we go to the offensive line. Priority number one, what is the status of left guard Ben Bartch? His name popped up mysteriously on the active non-football injury list heading into training camp, meaning he was injured away from the facility in between the end of the offseason program and now. What is the injury to left guard Ben Bartch, the man who is presumably going to be penciled in as your starter at left guard? What is the injury? How severe is it? What kind of a timeline are we looking at? Do we need to panic a little bit? That's priority number one for me going into training camp. What is the status of Ben Bartch? If it's not Ben Bartch at left guard, who's it going to be? The rookie Connor Colby? Are you going to slide in Spencer Burford to left guard, even though he's potentially trying to get reps as the swing tackle? What's the plan if Ben Bartch can't go? And why can't Ben Bartch go right now? Like, what's going on? That's what I want to know first and foremost when we're talking about the offensive line going into training camp. Now, of course, you don't get far in offensive line conversation without bringing up the name of all-world left tackle Trent Williams. Another year older, but he's still very, very good. And I want to know, like, how does Trent Williams look when we're going into training camp? Is he going to be out there most days, or are we going to see Trent Williams have a lot of vet days off? How is he looking? Does he look in shape? Does he look like his ankles are good to go? Because his ankles have become a bit of a worrisome area the last couple of seasons. How healthy does he look? How often is he practicing? Is he going to have any camp battles that are highlighted or spotlighted between he and the likes of, Nick Bosa, he and the likes of Mykel Williams? I want to see him and Mykel Williams go at it in training camp. I think that would be like watching, a couple Giants go at it, a couple Lions just going at it, and it's mano a mano, man versus man. Like I want to see a Mykel Williams, Trent Williams kind of camp battle transpire. But obviously, how does Trent Williams look? Because if he looks good, the Niners offensive line will be at the very least serviceable. But if Trent Williams has some, injuries pop up to those ankles, if he doesn't look the same, like, how is that going to impact things? Trent Williams is definitely always a player that will be looked at heavily. And the other area that I want to focus on with training camp on the offensive line is who is going to win that swing tackle battle. We talked about it last week. It's going to be Spencer Burford versus Austin Pleasance and potentially Andre Dillard once he gets off of the PUP list as well. Who's going to win that swing tackle battle? Because like I mentioned last week, whoever wins that swing tackle spot is going to end up starting a couple of games. You can take it to the bank because Trent Williams at this stage of his career is going to miss a couple of games a season. Whoever wins that swing tackle battle will be playing meaningful snaps for the 49ers this year. And not only that, potentially positioning themselves for a huge payday next offseason, similar to the way that Jalen Moore did. So that swing tackle battle is nothing to scoff at. The Niner fans, I encourage you to pay attention to who is winning that swing tackle battle every single day at camp, because it's going to be extremely important. And it will pop up at some point this year where one of those guys will be starting in place of Trent Williams. You can take it to the bank. I mean, I'm not trying to wish injury on anyone, but just kind of thinking out loud and really feeling like I have a grasp of what's going to happen this year. Let's see who else we got in the building. I see my guy Bashar tuning in. What up, Bashar, over on 49er Minded? Shout out to you. Thanks for tuning in, my guy. Yeah, I appreciate all you guys for tuning in, man. We're just going through our official 49ers 2025 training camp preview. I just went through the entire offensive side of the ball and gave you my thoughts from each position group on what I want to see during training camp, players I'm focused on. And let's go ahead and transition to the defensive side of the ball. It all starts up front with that defensive line. For me, what does the starting defensive line look like day one in training camp? We all know it's going to be Nick Bosa on the edge. On the other edge, it's going to be some sort of hodgepodge of Bryce Huff or Michael Williams. You could have penciled in Yatir Gross-Matos over there, but he is dealing with an injury himself. So who starts opposite Nick Bosa on base downs when practice kicks off on that defensive line? I think it's going to probably be Michael Williams if Yatir Gross-Matos is unable to go with that knee injury that he has been dealing with. And how often are they rotating in Bryce Huff? How explosive is that, pass rush looking on the perimeter of that defensive line? Not only that, who's starting on the interior? With Alfred Collins signed, sealed, and delivered, and that lower body injury miraculously healed, how does Alfred Collins look in his first action in a 49er uniform this offseason? Who starts next to him? Is it going to be Evan Anderson? Is it going to be Kevin Givens, Jordan Elliott? Or are you going to see two rookies starting on the interior with Alfred Collins and CJ West? I'm very intrigued to see who starts on the interior of this defensive line day one of training camp. And obviously, training camp battles are fluid. Things can change. They will experiment with guys being on the first team, the second team, etc. But I'm very curious to see who starts on that defensive line most days during training camp. And how does it look under new defensive coordinator Robert Saleh? Very, very curious to see there. Alfred Collins, how does he look? Does he have any lingering effects with that lower body injury that we still don't have full clarification on, whether it's the foot, the ankle, the shin, whatever? How does Alfred Collins look in his first snaps as a San Francisco 49er? How is his conditioning? Because he has not practiced all offseason with the team. Is his conditioning going to be piss poor, or is he going to be, ready to go? I would imagine they'll probably monitor his snaps, ease him in slowly, get him up to speed over time. But Alfred Collins, his conditioning is going to be paramount heading into week one up in Seattle. Absolutely. So there you have it. That's my questions when it comes to the 49ers defensive line. Very curious to see how all that shakes out, of course. At linebacker, I think we know what the main question is with the linebacker spot. Who is going to start opposite Fred Warner? We know Fred Warner is marked in Sharpie as the starter, but who's going to be playing next to him now that Dre Greenlaw is gone? Is it going to be Winters, the guy who's been around and knows this, the scheme and the system, the personnel, the coaching staff, the guy with the more experience? Or is it going to be the rookie, the young upstart, Nick Martin? I would tend to believe that D. Winters is going to be given every opportunity to start early on next to Fred Warner, just given the familiarity and the experience that he has over a Nick Martin. But this is it for D. Winters, man. Like, he has to make it this year. He has to show the 49ers that he can stay healthy, that he can withstand the pounding of being a linebacker in this defensive scheme. and that he can make plays. And if he doesn't, he's going to have a lot of guys on his tail, whether it is Nick Martin, who looks explosive, whether it is Chad Surratt coming over from the New York Jets, another Robert Saleh disciple, whether it is Stone Blanton, the undrafted rookie free agent, whether it is Luke Gifford, special teamer, but could potentially get some run at linebacker if need be. Who starts next to Fred Warner? That is the first, last, and only real question I have with the 49ers linebacker spots. And I guess kind of who stands out among the rest between the Chaz Surratts, the Luke Giffords, the Stone Blantons? Who stands out as that potential fourth linebacker for the 49ers during camp? Moving on to the cornerbacks. Diamador Lenoir's situation has to be at the forefront. I think a lot of people have kind of forgot. He has a court date on July 25th for his arrest during the month of June after the team was dismissed from Santa Clara for 40 days. He had an incident, a run-in with the law down in Los Angeles, and he has a court date on July 25th. How does that all shake out? Presumably, he'll get a slap on the wrist, if anything at all. But it's something to definitely monitor. What's the status of Diamador Lenoir? Is the league going to hand out any sort of discipline? I would tend to think probably not, but it's worth monitoring. I mean, we got to pay attention to it. That's huge. And not having Diamador Lenoir for any length of time is a big deal, no matter what. And then, does Renardo Green take a step in year two? He was a pleasant surprise last year and formed one heck of a tandem with Lenoir in that secondary. But does he take a step in year two, or does he have a bit of a sophomore slump, as what tends to happen to a lot of players in the NFL? Does he get picked on, given that Diamador Lenoir has cemented himself as cornerback one? Does Renardo Green get picked on, or does he take that leap in year two like we all expect him to and hope that he will? At nickel, Upton Stout. It's almost a foregone conclusion at this point, before he's even taken a snap in pads with the 49ers, that rookie nickelback Upton Stout is going to be the Niners starting nickel week one up in Seattle. But what's really going to go on there? Is it going to be Upton Stout, or is it going to be anyone else? Trey Brown, Trey Avery? Do they move Diamador Lenoir to nickel and have someone else play on the outside? Like, what's going on with the nickel spot? And is Upton Stout going to be that guy, despite the fact he's only 5'8" and he's pretty small? I'm curious to see how he holds up with the physicality of an NFL training camp. Does this team make any moves in the secondary during camp? Do they add another corner like many believe that they should, including myself? Do they go after an Asante Samuel Jr. On the free agent wire? I think they're going to take some time and assess who they have and what they have in that cornerback room. But I wouldn't be shocked if they make some kind of move at corner, because, like we've discussed, if they lose Diamador Lenoir or Renardo Green at any point, this team is in trouble. And I think Robert Saleh knows that. I think the 49ers, Kyle Shanahan, I think they know that. If we know that, you know that they know that. So I would expect the 49ers between now and week one to make some sort of addition at cornerback, because it's a little scary going beyond the starters, if I'm being honest with you. At safety, and after we discuss the safety position, I will be hitting on special teams before I open it up to you guys for questions and comments. But at safety, what is the status of Malik Mustafa? The belief that I've had all offseason, from the tea leaves that I've read, things that I've seen on social media from his mother, who is also his manager, who has posted sporadically throughout the offseason, replying to 49ers fans on Twitter. I think Malik Mustafa is going to be out there week one. I think he's going to shock everyone, and I think he'll be starting week one up in Seattle. I think that's been the goal all along. We've seen the workout videos with Malik looking pretty spry, looking healthy, looking fast. I think he starts week one, but the status of Malik Mustafa is going to be at the forefront, I think, early on in training camp. I want to know what's going on there. Beyond Malik Mustafa, Jair Brown is coming into camp off of ankle surgery. Is he fully healthy? How does he look in his third year, coming off of a down season in year two? And how does he look in Robert Saleh's defense? Can Jair Brown really take hold of a safety spot in year three? I think he's going to be given every opportunity to do so. but it remains to be seen. How does Jair Brown look under his third defensive coordinator in 3 years? His first year, his rookie year, it was Steve Wilkes. Last year, it was Nick Sorensen. He has his third defensive coordinator in 3 years this year with Robert Saleh, and that can really impact any player. So how does Jair Brown look in year 3? Very curious to see there. And then the Jason Pinnock hype train. You've been hearing a lot of noise around Jason Pinnock in recent weeks. Guys like Matt Mayoko have been hyping him up. How does he look being reunited with his former coach, Robert Saleh, from their time with the New York Jets? Does he cement himself in the safety room, either in the relief of Malik Mustafa or potentially next to Malik Mustafa? We'll see. But is the Jason Pinnock hype train real? Is it the real deal? I'm curious to see, because you've heard a lot of noise. So I would like to know if what we've heard can be taken to the bank. I'm very, very curious. And then when it comes to special teams, I think we all know the most important battle in training camp when it comes to special teams is that kicker. Is Jake Moody going to hold on to his job, or is he going to be on his way out finally after a couple of very up and down roller coaster seasons as the 49ers kicker? Can he fend off Greg Joseph, the veteran, in a true, real, open kicking competition under new special teams coordinator Brant Boyer, who has rebuilt the entire special teams unit this offseason? Whether it's bringing in a new long snapper, John Weeks, a new punter, Thomas Morstead, bringing in Greg Joseph to compete with Jake Moody at kicker. They just recently released standout safety, or standout special teams player and reserve safety, George Odom. So Brant Boyer has rebuilt the entire special teams unit in his image this offseason, except for kicker. But you have to believe it's going to be a true kicking competition, and the best man will get the job. I don't think Jake Moody's third-round draft stock will have any bearing on what the final decision is with the 49ers starting kicker going into week 1. If he does not beat out Greg Joseph during training camp, he will not be here. And I don't think draft stock means anything there anymore. I think the 49ers are telling Jake Moody, this is your last shot. Either earn the job or sorry, we got to let you go. But I think it's going to be a very real camp battle with Jake Moody and that kicking position. How does the revamped kick coverage unit look under Brant Boyer and the rebuilt special teams? Will the loss of George Odom loom large? Who will be the new standouts on the special teams kick coverage unit? Definitely something to monitor and pay attention to during training camp. And then last but not least, who emerges as the 49ers kick and punt returner? They gave Jacob Cowing every opportunity to do that last year. He didn't really seize it all the way, and they drafted a 7th-round rookie in Junior Bergen, who, it's kind of crazy to me that they would draft a player like that in the 7th round who is, specifically a special teams guy who does not hold a ton of receiving ability from everything that you read, or a ton of receiving chops or talent. Like his bread and butter is as a returner. So he has to go out there and really just kick ass from day one to get a hold of that job. Who is the 49ers kick and punt returner going to be? One of the biggest questions for the 49ers in training camp, really. They have not had a reliable kick returner since Ted Ginn Jr. with Jim Harbaugh. So hopefully Brant Boyer can have that position solidified for the first time in a very long time. So there you have it, faithful. Those are all of my breakdowns for each position group with the 49ers as we head in to the 2025 training camp for the San Francisco 49ers. I think I kind of hit on all of it, but I'm curious to see in the chat if you guys have any questions that I did not necessarily hit on, if you have any concerns that I did not necessarily hit on, players that you want to have some eyes and ears on during training camp that I did not refer to. So let's see what you guys are saying as we get on out of here soon. Oh, I see my boy 49er Tone checking in. He says, I agree on Moody, but his draft stock has come to play already by having him still on the team. But Moody has to go, period. We'll see. I think if he earns that job in camp, if he beats out Greg Joseph, I think they're going to give him another shot. But I think at the end of the day, at some point this year, he's going to miss a key pivotal kick, and they're going to cut him. I mean, I think we've seen enough of Jake Moody to kind of anticipate what's ultimately going to happen. But I think it's going to be a real camp battle for the first time in Jake Moody's tenure with the San Francisco 49ers. That's for sure. Let me see who else we have in the chat. If I missed anybody who's popped in, anyone has any big time questions. Let's see. 49er Minded says, well, I trust the defense a lot more with Saleh over Sorensen, despite the fact that we are banking on some rookies. Yeah, I mean, they're going to have a lot of rookies potentially starting on defense. And John Lynch said it himself that this team's going to take some lumps this year. And I would assume a lot of that would happen early in the season. But let's just keep our fingers crossed that it doesn't happen in week one up in Seattle when I'm there at Lumen Field watching the Niners and Seahawks for my first time at a road game against my most hated team and fan base. So hopefully there's not too many lumps week one. Let's see who else we have in the chat. If I missed anything, Big Brick 84. Hey JD, who do you think will make up Solid's NASCAR package this year? I think it's going to be more than likely you're going to have Nick Bosa on one end, Bryce Huff on the other. You're going to rotate Michael Williams on the inside and have him rush over the guard. That's been talked about all offseason about his affinity to rush on the interior and his ability to do so. I think he's a mismatch on the inside. I think he's going to be too fast for those interior linemen, and he's plenty strong enough to wreak some havoc in there. So I think you're going to see Bosa and Huff on the outside, Michael Williams on the inside, and next to him, I think the plan was going to be Yatir Gross-Matos, but with his knee injury, there's some uncertainty there. How healthy is Yatir Gross-Matos? When can we expect him back on the field? Does this team make any moves for another veteran defensive tackle who can come in and contribute in the NASCAR package? I would like to see CJ West there, even though his ability to get off the ball has been an area of focus this offseason. He's not necessarily the best at that, but he can certainly wreak some havoc. Alfred Collins' pass rush ability, by all reports, is actually being slept on a little bit. So you may see some Alfred Collins in there from time to time. But opposite those three guys, Nick Bosa, Bryce Huff, and then Michael Williams on the interior, the other interior lineman who is going to rush is still a question mark. I'm curious on who is going to emerge there. What is the plan there, especially given the fact that Yatir Gross-Matos is still coming off of injury? I think if he's healthy, that's the plan. But I hope that answers your question. Papa J says Isaac Garendo is the only player fit for kickoff returns. I would like to see that. I would like to see them get the ball in his hands in those kinds of situations and see what he does. He had some big returns last year when given the opportunity. So I'm curious to see if Isaac Garendo can seize the returner spot. But I think ultimately it's probably going to come down to like Jacob Cowing or Jacob Cowing or Junior Bergen. Maybe they give Jordan Watkins the opportunity to do that. And like you said, maybe Isaac Garendo. So that's going to be definitely an area of emphasis in training camp. Who's the returner going to be? I think that's a big, big camp battle. Tommy Huxley says, I don't want to see Garendo hurt. No more kick returns. I think I'm kind of with you there because I think the Niners are going to need Garendo healthy. If they're banking on Christian McCaffrey to play, as many snaps as he has in the past, like you're going to see Garendo at some point. I think so. And I think it would be smart to keep him as fresh as you possibly can. And we'll see, we'll see. That's definitely a valid point by you, Tommy. Let's see If anyone else has any questions, comments, or concerns regarding this roster, the coaching staff, anything heading into training camp, now is your time to ask it in the chat. Filthy Casual says, YouTube algorithm sent me a short quoting DeForest Buckner saying he wants to come to the 49ers. Any chance that could happen? Disregard all that stuff. I haven't seen it in a YouTube short, but I've seen it all over Twitter. I've seen it all over Facebook. There's tons of fake quotes going around from players. One of these times, I'm going to have to get an example, and I'll show you guys on stream like what I'm referring to. But there are tons of fake quotes going around from all sorts of players across the entire NFL. Don't fall for any of that stuff, especially when you see it like on social media like that. Like if it's not coming from a reporter or directly from a player's social media account, don't believe it. That's just my advice. There's tons of those fake quotes going around. I've seen that DeForest Buckner stuff on Facebook and Twitter. Oh, I'd love to come back to the 49ers. He didn't say that. There's a lot of that fake news going around. Don't buy it. If you do see it and you want to double check, go check out the player's social media, or do a simple Google search, Twitter search, check on the beat writers' social media accounts. You'll see these pictures with a quote on there and a picture of the player, and it's crap. It's all crap. Don't believe a word of it. So those have been driving me nuts all off season. I can't stand those things. Filthy Casual says, thanks for crushing my hopes. Sorry about that, man. I'm just trying to look out for you. I'm trying to look out for you so you don't get tricked. Let's see. Papa J says, kickoff return rules used to be accommodating to wide receivers, but now it's more accommodating for running backs. Yeah, that you could see Isaac Guerrero in that role, given what you mentioned there. Big Brick 84, do you think Mason Pline gets on the 53 field this year? That's actually another very interesting player to watch in camp. He's been a guy who has made a lot of noise as an unheralded player, a practice squad guy. Big, huge red zone threat type of a player. Does he make a jump this year? Will he contribute? Can he beat out maybe a Ross Dwelly for the tight end 3 spot? I think that he needs to improve as a blocker if he wants to get on the field for the 49ers, and I think that's why you haven't seen him really to this point. But he's intriguing. Definitely going to be paying attention to him during preseason. How does Mason Pline look in the preseason? Does he look like a big body who can go up and box out a guy in the red zone, in the end zone during preseason and make plays? Mason Pline's a guy I'm going to have my eyes on for sure. Absolutely. 49er Minded says, morons that call themselves fans on Facebook keep putting out those fake stories. That they do. I'm with you. That they do. They are morons. I don't disagree with you there. But if you just follow everything on social media pretty closely, I think it's pretty easy to spot those things and rule them out. I don't get tricked by stuff like that, but I also follow everything extremely closely. So maybe that's why. But people that maybe don't necessarily follow everything every second of the day and nerd out about the Niners like I do, and I'm not saying that those people aren't fans. I'm just saying I follow the team extremely closely. I listen to everything. I watch everything. I read everything. I keep up with the 49ers. And so when I see stuff like that, those fake quotes, I don't get tricked by those. I couldn't tell you the last time I got tricked by a fake Adam Schefter account on Twitter, or a fake quote, or a fake story, rumor. I just don't. I don't get fooled. I've been watching this team long enough and paying attention to how things work long enough. I don't get tricked by stuff. So if you guys have questions, if you do see any of that stuff and you have questions about it, hit me up on Twitter. I did promote it in previous streams. I haven't mentioned it here tonight, but if you guys want to, if you ever have a question about anything like that, or anything in general, you want to shoot the breeze about the Niners, hit me up on Twitter. I'll put my handle in the chat. You guys can follow me on X/Twitter and shoot me a follow over there. If you see something, you can tweet it at me and say, hey, JD, what the hell is this? And I'll tell you, hey, don't worry about it. My guy 49er Tone says, My social media source is JD sending me text when news drops. He's not lying. It's true. Yep. I'm basically Tone's Adam Schefter. Anything that happens, I'm texting Tone immediately because I know he's not on social media like that. Yeah. So yeah. I am Tone's social media. I am his Adam Schefter, Tom Pelissero, you know, who else? Ian Rappaport, Mike Garafolo. Like, that's me. I'm that guy, I guess, for Tone. NFL Network, holler at your boy. Give me a job. 49er Tone also says off topic about the roster, but any hints on when the new unis come out? I actually saw a tweet today from at 49ers Sports Talk on Twitter. He put out a tweet saying that the 49ers are expected to unveil their new uniforms in the coming days. Kind of a vague tweet, if I'm being honest with you, because you're seeing other teams who have released their uniforms recently, the Chargers, the Steelers, the Saints with a new helmet, the Commanders going back to their old Redskins uniforms for a throwback. A lot of teams are unveiling all that stuff. So I think it's pretty safe to assume that the 49ers will be unveiling their new rivalry jerseys any day now. But as far as the tweet from at 49ers Sports Talk saying, oh, the Niners are expected to unveil their rivalry jerseys in the coming days. I mean, yes, but is he really like breaking news with that? I don't think so. I think he's just kind of taking an educated guess or a stab in the dark, like it's coming. So we'll see. We'll see. I'm very curious to see how those jerseys turn out. I have not heard good things when it comes to the rivalry jerseys across the NFL. I believe it is the NFC West and AFC East this year, if I'm not mistaken, who are the first divisions who will be wearing the rivalry uniforms. From what I have heard from media, um, people don't really like them. I don't know anything more than that. I don't know what they look like. All I've heard is that they have not gotten good reviews. So I'm not feeling good about it, but we'll see. And as soon as those uniforms drop, I will be dropping a video reacting to them, giving you my thoughts. And I pray to God they are not black jerseys. Anything but a black jersey. The 49ers are a classic franchise. The 49ers are a pillar of the NFL. And that does not mean that they need to wear black freaking jerseys. The 49ers do not wear black jerseys. You stick to the classics. You stick to what works. The furthest I will go in terms of going out on a limb with a 49er jersey, maybe you make a gold one because that fits the color scheme. That it ties in to the tradition of the 49ers with the gold, right? And I know they haven't had gold jerseys, but gold has been a color with the 49ers forever, right? Black jerseys are not it. Sorry, not sorry. If you're offended, I don't care. Black jerseys are not 49er football. They need to do something traditional. They need to do something that speaks about the 49ers heritage. Maybe they go back to the early 60s uniforms. Maybe they do the full-on 1955 where they wear the 94 throwbacks. Those originated in 1955, if for those that didn't know. Maybe they do the entire 1955 style uniform with the 94 throwback jersey, the silver helmet, the silver pants. Maybe that is something that they do. But as far as like going out on a limb and changing things up, I don't like that because the 49ers they're just a classic team. And you don't mess with tradition. You don't mess with what has worked. That's just my 2 cents. So I'm very curious to see how those rivalry jerseys turn out for the 49ers. If they do a black jersey or they do something totally out of left field, I'm going to rage. So you'll want to have your notifications on for that. I will not be happy if they end up doing that. Danny checking in. What up, Danny? Appreciate you for tuning in, my guy. Danny says, I agree. The black jerseys suck ass. Half Dead says, I wish they'd go back to the gold pants. Maybe they will. Maybe that's in the cards. We will see. I don't know. Let me see what else you guys are saying here. Bashar says, JD, I was just about to type that I was not a fan of the black jerseys. Yep, I'm with you guys. I think a lot of us will agree that the black jerseys are a no-go, a non-starter, and I really don't want to see them buck any sort of tradition. I'm curious how they're going to handle it. Maybe they go back to the maroon mid 90s uniforms that they had from 1996 through 2008. That's a possibility, maybe. I wouldn't hate that, you know. Um, but anything but black. Anything but a black jersey, you know. Really. We'll see. We'll see though. I'm curious. Papa J says, JD, black jerseys look awesome on Monday nights and Thursday nights, though. Do they really look awesome? Because last time I saw the black jerseys on TV with the 49ers, you can barely read the jersey numbers or the names on the jerseys because of how they looked. The red and the black kind of blurred together, blended together a little bit. They did not show well on TV. They did not show well in person. And at the end of the day, if you're a longtime 49ers fan, you know the colors have to be some sort of red and gold. Period. The Niners are a traditional franchise. Like you don't buck tradition with the 49er uniforms. You just don't. And how they have them right now, I'll be honest with you, is perfect. Ever since they added the saloon font onto the neck area of the jerseys, they're absolutely perfect. You don't need to change them. They're 94 throwbacks. The white and the red are the best throwback jerseys in the NFL. I don't know what possibly they could come up with that's any better than what they have now, but if they can, I'd love to see it because I think right now the 49ers have the best assembly line of uniforms in the entire NFL, and I don't want to see them mess with that. Don't do something stupid. That's just how I feel. Bashar says, love the saloon font. You and I both. 49er Tone says, remember Candlestick, bro. Everyone wore throwbacks. Everyone was tired of that 1998 through 2008 uniform. You're not wrong. As soon as they came out with those cherry red throwbacks during the Candlestick Park days, everybody was getting them. I got a couple in my closet from those days. Yeah, as soon as they came back out with the cherry reds, man, the burgundy jerseys were just put away. You stop seeing those at Candlestick Park. So we'll see what they decide to do with the rivalry uniforms. I'm very eager. I'm tired of waiting, quite frankly. Half Dead says that's the 49er Norteño edition jerseys. That sounds like a guy who's been to a few games at Candlestick Park. That's yeah. I'm gonna leave that one alone. That's funny though. That's funny. 49er Tone says, I hated those TO unis. Big Brick 84. Black might work if they have a gold outline on red numbers, but not a huge fan. That would be a way that they would work because they would be able to be spotted a lot better on TV and in person for sure. Papa J says, I'm colorblind, so they look good to me. Okay, Papa J, no offense, but if you're colorblind, then don't worry about what the Niners jerseys look like if you're colorblind, man. I'm not hating on you. That sucks. I wish you could see the red and gold the way that we see it and the way we feel about it, but no black jerseys, man. I'm sorry. No black jerseys. Can't freaking do it. Half Dead says the Julian Peterson and Jeff Garcia era jerseys. Yeah. Those were them. I don't hate those, but I got tired of them. And I think the current red that the 49ers have worn for quite some time is the perfect shade. That's 49er red, what they wear now. And I don't want to see them do something crazy. I really don't. I don't want to have to come on here and scream and yell and lose my voice because they did something dumb with the uniforms again just to make a couple of bucks, you know? All right, guys. I think we're going to go ahead and wrap it up there. I gave my breakdown of 49ers training camp with the veterans reporting to Santa Clara on Tuesday. Kyle Shanahan will speak to the media tomorrow. I believe it's 11 a.m. Pacific, but I may be wrong. Either way, I will be back here live on YouTube, same channel, same time, 4:30 p.m. Pacific time, reacting to all the news of the day tomorrow. We'll be reacting to what Kyle Shanahan has to say and all the updates that come from the opening of 49ers training camp. I'm JD. This has been Keeping the Faith, and football's back, baby. Let's go.